Hello, my name is Dr. Wanda Jewell. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. My clients represent the demographics of Los Angeles. I'm open to seeing everyone. So I think over the years I've probably had every race, ethnicity, social class, gender, all the genders, sexual orientation. You know, it's all about human beings and whatever that description is. I call my practice dynamic psychotherapy. I got that phrase from Harry Stack Sullivan, who was the American psychiatrist in the 30s and 40s. He was one of the first psychiatrists to treat people as human beings rather than as a patient. And he was very much in favor of an equal relationship, a collaborative partnership, rather than a hierarchical, I'm the doctor, you're the patient. So as we have brought those together, and I think that's what is the nature of psychotherapy today, is it's a partnership, it's a collaboration. Well, in this business, I've been counseled over the years to find a niche, to identify something that I do particularly well, and it's been difficult because whenever you choose some sort of identity, you're excluding something. So what I've developed over the years is a specialty in recovery from depression, addiction, or trauma. And I think mainly over the last 19 years, those are the people that come to me, is people who want to recover from those things. You know, we live in an addictive society, and I think it's very good for a therapist to be experienced with that. If it's alcoholism, other kind of substances, addictions to people, or codependency, or food, or whatever. There's a lot of addictive processes. My approach is, first of all, to help the person to feel at ease so they can relax, because I don't think we can do therapy, we can't do learning, we can't do growing and changing if you feel nervous and defended. So I work on my environment and also on my personality in terms of helping a person to be at ease, and then to see what evolves, to see what emerges for that person. My approach is basically, you could call it attachment theory or psychodynamic, where I spend considerable time building the relationship and helping that relationship to be what it needs to be for that particular person. You know, it's not like a cookie cutter approach, because not everybody is the same. You know, we're all different, we are all the same, but a person's pace, a person's particular need, their particular, there's a fellow who sees me every other week. I think it would be better for him to see me every week, but he doesn't. So he comes to see me every other week. There's a fellow now who's seeing me once a month because that's what's working for him. So in terms of the time schedule, in terms of how we work together, and it might be twice, it just depends. So my approach, I have the flexibility and the knowledge so that I can meet that person where they are, wherever that might be. I consider myself an active therapist in the room. We started out with Freud and the blank slate. But what we found is that's not good for people. That's not good for women, it's not good for men, it's not good for children. It's good to have the person there and responding and reacting and being present. Not with my own issues, not my personal issues, because that's not the place for my personal issues, but for your issues, for the person who comes to see me. I would distinguish my active approach from other therapists with my own personality, with my own way of being, with my own sense of humor. Because just as clients are all different, but still very much alike, therapists are all different, but we're very much alike. You know, there's many ways to get to the same place. People describe me as friendly, warm, charismatic, with a good sense of humor, which really helps in therapy and it helps in life. I take great care in self-disclosure. Self-disclosure being talking about myself personally. And the idea is that I think about who is it to serve? Is it going to serve that person or is it about me? And so you want any self-disclosure to help that person. Now I understand more when it's appropriate for me to talk about myself or an experience that I've had. I think that that's part of my growth, is that I know when to share and when not to, and what impact that might have on a person or their development. Because you want to be careful, because in that therapeutic relationship, it's fairly easy to impose upon the person or to interfere with their growth. And that was the idea of the blank slate that we all began with, is that you don't show any of your personality or you don't self-disclose at all. The idea of that was to protect the person and to allow their process to evolve. So in using self-disclosure and talking about myself, you want to be careful that it doesn't alter the relationship and interfere with that person's growth, which is the kind of consideration you would take with any kind of intervention, any kind of thing that you would do in the session. How I've developed as a practitioner over the 20 or so years, I think I started graduate school in 1985, and I was already mature at the time. So as I've done practice beginning in 1987 in a state mental hospital, and then in my own practice beginning in 1991, the way that I've grown and developed is being more sure and more confident of my ability to meet that person where they are and to help that person, whatever it may be. I'm not so concerned about the way other therapists practice or what I should be doing. I'm probably not even thinking about that because I've done it such a long time that I can just do it. I can just be there with that person, whatever that means for that person. And I have the flexibility and the knowledge and maybe you'd call it wisdom, that I can be flexible with the time. I can be flexible with, how we work together. The thing about being in private practice, well, there's a couple of things that are particularly good. One is that there's not another person telling me or telling us, myself and the client, what needs to be done. I've earned the ability to be an independent practitioner. The other thing is that I still get excited and kind of nervous when a client is coming to me, because of all the people that I've seen and all the things that I've studied, this person is unique and has their own particular difficulties, their own particular personality, and I'm really curious and interested in that. And then how can I use what I have to help that person, to meet the goals that they have, to be happier with themselves and with his or her life, to be able to troubleshoot that person and their thinking or that person and their emotions, to help people be happy. I really enjoy when I see it, and you can see it in a session, when the lights go on inside a person, when they begin to feel better about themselves, when they begin to feel better about their lives. So that for me is the excitement and the satisfaction. Happens every time, even after all these years. I still have that excitement about who's this person going to be and what can I do to help them. It's always fresh. I think one part of being a therapist too is continually learning. And I think one of the best ways to learn is by teaching. And so for the past 12 years I've been an adjunct professor at the school that I went to in 1985. I've been an adjunct professor of social work at University of Southern California. And what we tell students when they first come in is that it's all about the relationship. Also, the dean at school will say this to the incoming students: why would a teacher teach the same class semester after semester, year after year? Doesn't it get boring? Doesn't it get old? And what is true about the class is the same that's true of seeing a new client or seeing clients year after year. It's always different. It's always new. It's the same, but it's always different. This is an exciting time in my business in psychotherapy, because the things that we've practiced all along, as a social worker, the value is to improve social functioning. That's one of the first things I learned in school. And to build rapport, to show that warmth and empathy and exploring and just general kindness. To build a rapport with someone, to build that relationship. What we're learning with the neurobiology and the exciting time in practice is that the science and what we've known all along, or what we've practiced all along, are coming together. So what we know about relationship and the quality of the relationship, that is what makes therapy effective. It's all about the relationship. And I think for each person who comes to therapy, there has to be a feeling, there has to be the potential for that quality relationship. it's not about what we do as psychotherapists so much as who we are and what happens in what's called that relational field. And neurobiology now and the science backs that up in terms of the quality of the relationship, in terms of allowing that person and helping that person, encouraging that person to be who they are, to express themselves however that is, to say, do, or be whatever is true for that person without classifying it or diagnosing it or somehow judging it, but allowing that person to be. One of my teachers, Virginia Satir, she taught that I heard her say this, that in psychology, we kind of got off on the wrong foot by finding out what's wrong with people instead of what's right with people. And what she taught is that there's plenty right with people, and inside each person is a seed of possibilities. And that seed will blossom if the person is in a conducive environment. Many people have been raised in environments that are not conducive to them. Many people come to me and with a feeling of that they didn't really belong in that family that they were raised in, that they're a different kind of person, And I think about the story of the ugly duckling, where it wasn't really a duck, it was really an ugly duck, but it really was a swan, and didn't figure out that until maybe towards the end of the story. So you could say I'm in the swan business, because people have that feeling of being disappointed maybe by their early family life, or it wasn't a good fit. But I follow what Satir said, that seed will blossom, if allowed to, if nurtured, if in a conducive environment. There's a feeling in the room, in the relationship, when a person is finished. They may have achieved what they came for. There may be other work, there's always plenty of other work to do. But for this piece of work, for this part, you can feel it that it's done. So I may bring it up, the person may bring it up, it's time to end. And then I like to do kind of a slower ending where you don't just stop, but that there's a process in ending of reviewing what's been done, thinking about what the person might want to do next, saying what was good and what was not so good about the therapy, coming to an end in a good way. Most people in their lives, most people who come to therapy, I think most people in general, have had abrupt endings. A parent leaves suddenly, somebody dies, somebody moves away, and there's not a time to process. So I take great care, I've learned to take great care in the beginnings, but also in the endings of a therapeutic partnership. Also with an open door, so that the person, I'm still available. We'll still know each other. We're not done forever, but that the person can call me if they need a tune-up or if something else happens and they need some help.